Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Right now.
Right
Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Right now.
Right
Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Right now.
Right
Right now.
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 Welcome to another daily writing sesh as we are going to continue to get some work on our stories. Today, as every day, day 734 of consecutive writing streams. I am working on the third draft of The Last Scarecrow. You know me. So I'm going to take you in along my process. My third draft is a live reading with a line edit. I combine the two where I need to hear it read aloud while also making style adjustments as I'm going. Developmentally, blah, 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 blah. Developmentally, the story is pretty solid. I know developmentally, I'm very happy with the story itself. I'm trying to cut down on wordiness and get it to that level. So it's ready for feedback from others. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Kaufman, daily writing streamer, fantasy author, and dragon enthusiast. My goal is to help us finish the book process with the community. So come join us because we're starting. That's it right now. All right. And as you can see, I already have my writing software all set up here, and I am ready to get into it. Yeah, what's up, Aroma? Welcome back, my friend. Hopefully the writing vibe is treating you well today. All right. So where was I yesterday? So pushing into, we're at chapter 16. I was asking this, I kept kind of going back and forth with chapter. I'm like, do I need to go back through? Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of looking through bits of this, and I'm like, do I need to go back and do another pass through this chapter? I don't think so. I think I was very happy with the chapter before this. I'm happy with this chapter. I mean, overall, the chapter does what it needs to accomplish. I think it's fine. This isn't even that crazy of a chapter anyways. It's meant to be a like low-key transitionary chapter. I think I'm fine with it. I think I'm going to move along to the next one. We'll see how the feedback is for this chapter because it's like such like a different vibe than the previous one, intentionally so. Yeah, all right, we're going to do it. All right. Yeah, I think I love how the ending goes. I do love how the ending of this chapter goes. That is for sure. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm going to push into the next chapter. The Call of the Doctor. Oof. Nice Aroma. Awesome. Hey, good luck with it. We're going to make a push today. We're going to make some progress. Good luck with starting it. I feel like that's like one of the most fun parts of it. Totally just have zero expectations of yourself and just enjoy writing it. Good luck. All right. So let's see. So I'm going to get straight into it. Okay. So let's do it. Where are our heroes? Our heroes were captured. They fell into a trap at the end of the last chapter. They fell into a trap. And whose trap have they fallen into? Well, we're about to find out. Call of the Doctor. Large, red, X-stitched eyes glared. Large, red, X-stitched. I was like, oh, if I could spell stitched right. Large, red, X-stitched eyes glared down at him. Scarecrow jolted awake, trying to move, but stuck firmly on his back. Scarecrow jolted awake, trying to move. Scarecrow jolted awake, trying to move, but stuck firmly on his back. String, or something akin to it, wrapped tightly across each limb, pressing him against a flat surface. He struggled vainly, trying not to let the fear of being trapped stop him, until finally he sighed with exhaustion, returning his attention to the eyes. He struggled vainly, trying not to let the fear of being trapped stop him, until finally he sighed with exhaustion. And returned his attention to the eyes. They blinked. Let's say the creature blinked. As the eyebrows, nose, and mouth stitched. The creature blinked as the eyebrows, nose, and mouth of similar stitching. No, because that's red. The creature blinked. The creature blinked with a perplexed expression. The creature blinked with a perplexed expression. The creature blinked, perplexed. Its tiny face was stitched together with a dirty cloth-like material. Its tiny face was stitched together with a coarse, dirty cloth-like material. The creature blinked, perplexed. Its tiny face came into view. The creature blinked, perplexed, as its full. The creature blinked, perplexed, as its face came into view. It was stitched together with a coarse. It was stitched together with a coarse, dirty, cloth-like material. The creature blinked, perplexed, as its face came into view. The mouth, nose, and eyebrows were of a similar stitching, while the rest of its were of a similar stitching, while the rest of its face was held together with a coarse, dirty cloth-like material. The creature blinked, perplexed, as its face came into view. The mouth, nose, and eyebrows were of a similar stitching, while the rest of its face was held together with a coarse, dirty cloth-like material. Let's go with a coarse white cloth-like material. Let's do that. Let's go off-white. While the rest of its face was held together with a coarse off-white cloth material. The creature blinked perplexed as its face came into view. The mouth, nose, and eyebrows were stitched similarly, while the rest of its face was held together with coarse, off-white cloth. The head swung out of sight. Hey, what's up, Nicole? Hello, hello. How are you live and the sun is up? I was pretty sure you were a vampire. Yes, except I do not sparkle, so. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face. Oh, that's a good one, actually. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression. You know what's funny? I think I just had a perplexed expression on there and I deleted it. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face. I think I like that more. Oh, the creature blinked. Well, the face. Oh, I think I like that. The creature. I think I like that actually. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face. Its mouth, nose, and eyebrows were of a similar stitching. Its mouth, nose, and eyebrows were of a similar stitching. I think I like that. Or of a similar stitching as the eyes. The creature blinked were stitched similarly. Were stitched similarly to the I actually like this sounding better. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face. Its mouth, nose, and eyebrows were of a similar stitching to the eyes. The head swung out. It blinked. It blinked once more. It blinked. Moved, blinked, moved closer. It sniffed him. The creature, it moved forward, sniffing the air before swinging out of sight. I think I like that. All contributions are good contributions. I love that. As a face. That served. Did I say as a face? That served. Wait, the creature blinked as. Oh, you're right. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face, as its face. Ooh, but now I have as twice. The creature blinked as a perplexed expression spread across the dirty cloth that served as a face. As its face. Yeah, you're right. Its face is. But now I have as twice, and I don't know if I like that. Ooh, actually, I like this. Thank you. The creature blinked, a perplexed expression spreading across the dirty cloth that served as its face. Perfect. I think I like that. Hey, what's up, White Sir? Hope all's treating you well. Nicole, I'm a graduate of the Hemingway School of saying as much as possible in as few words as possible. I was an honor student. So, Nicole, basically, like every editor, like most editors, I cut all the unnecessary words. I feel that whenever I edit a story, actually. I'm going to cut all unnecessary words. What's up, Ambrosia? Welcome, my friend. Hopefully the writing craziness is treating you well. Hopefully it's treating you well. Hey, what's up, Mr. B? How's the writing going today? Actually, pretty fun. I'm having a great time. This next character I'm about to introduce is actually a really fun, this is another like twisted character. Oh man, we'll see. All right, so like, okay, I now I have to see how this actually sounds. So, large red X-stitched eyes glared down at him. Scarecrow jolted awake, trying to move but stuck firmly on his back. String or something akin to it wrapped tightly across each limb, across each limb, pressing him against a flat surface. He struggled vainly, trying not to let the fear of being trapped stop him, until finally he sighed with exhaustion and returned his attention to the eyes. The creature blinked, a perplexed expression spreading across the dirty cloth that served as its face. Its mouth, nose, and eyebrows were of a similar stitching to the eyes. It moved forward, sniffing the air before swinging out of sight. With his view no longer obstructed, Scarecrow realized he was positioned at a peculiar angle, neither upright nor flat on his back, yet he could see most of the dimly lit room. Tools of sharp varieties and bundles of string lined the walls. Tools of sharp varieties. I don't think I like variety now. Tools of sharp natures. Tools of sharp nature. Tools of sharp nature. Tools of sharp natures. Tools of sharp nature. And bundles of string lined the walls. Smoke wafted down the hall from a roaring bonfire outside, while a single hole in the thatched roof hinted at the tips of trees and a starry night sky outside. Let's say that. Is that too much of a run-on? Smoke wafted down the hall from a roaring bonfire outside, while a single hole in the thatched roof hinted at the tips of... that should be two sentences. Smoke wafted down the hall from a roaring bonfire outside. While a single hole in the thatched roof, and smoke wafted down the hall from a bonfire outside. And a single hole in the thatched roof. I mean, I guess that's kind of talking about outside. I see why I did that as a sentence. Nearby, Pebble lay unconscious, also tied to a board. Spread eagled. Huh. Spread eagled. Nearby, Pebble lay unconscious, also tied to a board. Spread eagled. I'd have to check that. Is it spread eagled or spread eagle? Spread eagle. Because it's past. Nearby, Pebble lay unconscious, also tied to a board. Spread eagled. There it goes. Mr. Crow was nowhere to be seen. A light thud on his shoulder alerted Scarecrow to the tiny cloth doll peering up at him. Red and white strands of knotted rope resembling hair dangled loosely from its head. The doll leaned in and sniffed him, revealing bits of sharp teeth in its mouth upon exhale. Scarecrow opened his mouth to speak. Oh my goodness, I love this character so much. Scarecrow opened his mouth to speak. A vibrant, husky laughter, trailing high to low, filled the room. Words bend, straw breaks. Does Clothy have what it takes? A shadow blocked out the dim moonlight. The raggedy doll hopped off, using Scarecrow's jacket like a pole to land effortlessly on the ground, and scampered into a crack in the wall. A figure flipped through the air in a whirl of dingy vermilion, landing precisely on all fours, a flat paw pointing peculiarly in the air. With a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mask paused inches from Scarecrow's face. Yellow pupils, a pronounced white snout, and vermilion-striped ears stuck out from behind an intricate fox mask, adorned with a streaked flame where the mouth should be. A fox? In a fox mask? I don't think this is a fox. I don't think this is... in a fox mask. Actually, no, this would be better. A fox in a fox mask. Yeah, let's make that stand out. Y'all cracking me up. Y'all cracking me up. White's here. You gotta the editing. You gotta accept it. Once you send it to the editor, you're gonna see a lot of red. All part of the process, my friend. But the beautiful thing is, as the author, it's always your call on what you get to keep and what you get to let go of. Ooh, that's a great title, by the way, Aroma. That's a cool title. Farewell, Ultramarine. Intriguing title, definitely. Ambrosia, you're like, I'm getting better. I found some issues while having to write a page that was damaged, and I've been editing good bits of it. Oh, that's how that's going, and it's the start of progress. Hey, all progress is good progress, my friend. That's really cool to hear. White sir, always spread eagled. White sir, you crack me up. Ambrosia, I'm stopping back to writing. Pink as well as here. And if anyone of a family died, it's not a lot of people like 2025. Yeah, I mean, life stuff, Ambrosia, can always be a lot, but glad to have you back and glad that you're back in the writing vibe with us. I know. What's another good word for vermilion? What's an alternative word for vermilion? I should use alternate words for vermilion. Scarlet, crimson, cinnabar, ruby. Flame red. Yeah, I thought about crimson. I don't think crimson is right because it's not red. It's more orange because he is a fox. But I used vermilion twice. A figure flipped through the air in a whirl of dingy vermilion, landing precisely on all fours, a flat paw pointing peculiarly in the air. With I said he landed on all fours. A figure flipped through the air in a whirl of dingy vermilion, landing precisely on the ground. Landing precisely on its paws. A figure flipped through the air in a whirl of dingy vermilion, landing precisely on its paws. A flat paw, landing precisely on the ground. A flat paw. I don't know. A paw. A single paw pointing peculiarly in the air. With a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mast. With a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mast. It moved. It glided towards Scarecrow. And with a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mask paused inches from his face. It glided towards Scarecrow, and with a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mask paused inches from his face. Paused inches from his face, from Scarecrow's face. And with a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mask paused inches from Scarecrow's face. Let's go. Let's see. Do I recommend it? You like crimson? Burnt orange might actually be a good one. Mystery, that's not a bad point. I always ask myself with word choice. I ask myself if I use vermilion a lot. I'm gonna have to consider this. Yeah. You guys both have very valid points. What's interesting, Mr. B, is anytime I see a word that I use more than once in a paragraph, I ask myself, unless it's like absolutely necessary, can I change or remove it? And this might be an instance where I can use it twice. I'm not sure. Let's see. So a figure flipped through the air in a whirl of dingy vermilion, landing precisely on the ground, a single paw pointing peculiarly in the air. It glided towards Scarecrow, and, with a massive sniff from head to toe, a cracked mask paused inches from Scarecrow's face. Yellow pupils, a pronounced white snout, and vermilion striped ears stuck out from behind an intricate fox mask, adorned with a streaked flame where the mouth should be. Yeah, and I mean it's I think it can work. I think this is one of those instances where I could go either way, but I think I am trying to set this color with this character. I'm gonna have to look at the what's coming up, and we'll see if there's more uses of it. Oh, did I change red to vermilion? I'll probably have to choose another color then, if that's the case, because I think I really try to make. I think when I use colors in this book, I really try to make pronounced colors attached to certain moments. Thanks for the heads up, White. So I'll probably have to go back and look at them. A fox in a fox mask. Two paws reach for Scarecrow's neck, pulling instead at the frames of his goggles. Scarecrow used to have goggles, which I cut out in this draft. So Scarecrow does not have goggles anymore. Eyes see? Yellow eyes widening. It whispered lyrically. It whispered laughing. Laughing. Yellow eyes widening. Straw knot. Eyes see, it whispered, laughing, yellow eyes widening. Straw knot. The vibrant, husky laughter ensued as the fox let go. As the fox inspected him before backing away. I want a better word for laughing. I want this character to be mysteriously. Do I want him to be creepy? Do I want him to come across creepy? I don't think creepy is what I want it to be. A little bit mysteriously enchanting. Can a fox purr? Yes, actually, I figured it out. Eyes see, it purred. I think I can get away with that actually, and I think that's what I want. Eyes see, it purred. Yellow eyes widening. Straw knot. The vibrant, husky laughter ensued as the fox inspected him before backing away. The fox strode backward, each step with intent and rhythm. The fox strode backward, each step with intent and rhythm. A lush, and then I use vermilion again. I'm gonna have to say how many. Okay, let's see. How many times of vermilion do we have? Oh wow, and they have 5 instances. Here is the past instance of vermilion. I think actually for this one, white's here, crimson. I think crimson is perfect for this one with the ruby because it's a ruby. So I think crimson actually works better with that. And then I can keep vermilion attached to this character, which I only use it 4 times. So that's actually not horrible. The fox strode backward, each step with intent and rhythm. A lush, vermilion and white ringed tail swished methodically behind the masked animal as it halted before the unconscious pixie. A similar head-to-toe sniff preceded a finger flick to her nose, waking Pebble up with a slow head bob. Born not from nature's gentle kiss, a sprite of lore rising unto a black abyss. Like reading, like reciting a poem, like reciting poetry. The fox. Do I use purred? The fox purred. Do I use it twice? I mean, it is kind of setting up the action. Like reciting a poem, the fox purred. Born not from nature's gentle kiss, a sprite of lore rising unto a black abyss. Friend or foe, what creature do I? Pressing mask to forehead. Kiss. Pressing mask to forehead, it finished. Kiss. Like reciting a poem, the fox purred, born not from nature's gentle kiss, a sprite of lore rising unto a black abyss. Friend or foe, what creature do I? I don't think I need ellipses here. Friend or foe, what creature do I? Pressing mask to forehead, it finished. Kiss. Nice, Ambrosia. The 30 power hour here also is playing me as well. Hopefully it's not too crazy for you, Ambrosia. That's actually, Mr. B, that's actually really good to know. You said, one of the things I'm doing with my current project is tying colored objects to characters. So if that's the goal, this little fox dude being specifically vermilion is helpful. Yeah, I do try to elicit specific colors with certain characters. There is one creature, there is one animal in this book who actually has a certain thing with colors, but generally I do try to tie color schemes with characters, which I really like. All right. I think this just works better like this. And I just make that a fragment. With the flick of her forehead, Pebble headbutted the mask away. Groggily, she yelled, With a flick of her forehead, Pebble headbutted the mask away. Groggily, she yelled, "Touch me again and find my fist!" The pixie fought hopelessly. The fox's tone elevated with anger and fury. The fox's tone increased with anger and fury. What creature did I kiss? She opened her mouth as if she should know the answer, but stumbled for words. Stumbled for words. "Leave the pixie alone," Scarecrow pleaded. The fox pointed a finger in the air with a shake. "A pixie whose heritage recalls not," he cackled with a reminiscent, husky, vibrant laugh. I think is cackle a speech tag? The era of words, wars, and ways erased. He snapped his fingers with deafening quickness, yellow pupils widening through the slits in the mask. The fox ducked low and flicked the pixie side as a pair of radiant wings, 4 screen purple glow and white spirals, unfurled from behind the pixie. All right. I have to make it clear that she doesn't have her cloak on. The wings were nearly twice her size. All right. I have to make it clear that she doesn't have her cloak on. Nearby, Pebble lay unconscious without her cloak, also tied to a board, spread-eagled. The fox ducked low and flicked the pixie side, and flicked Pebble's side. Let's use Pebble. The fox ducked low and flicked Pebble's side as a pair of radiant wings, 4 screen purple glow and white spirals, unfurled from behind the pixie. The wings were nearly twice her size. Scarecrow shook his head, realizing that he had yet to see Pebble without her cloak. Did all pixies have wings? She had never mentioned them before. He was finding it increasingly difficult to trust the tiny creature. Did all pixies have wings? She had never mentioned them before. Why didn't she just fly away? Why didn't she just fly away? Why didn't she just fly away then? Why didn't she fly away then? He was finding it increasingly difficult to trust her. In a blur, the fox slashed Pebble's restraints, grabbed her by the neck, and flung the pixie in the air. "Fly, my pretty!" Pebble thrashed desperately in midair, spiraling in circles as she reached the height of the toss before plummeting to the ground. "Pebble!" Scarecrow began, but was silenced by another pointed finger. "Stupid, stupid, fox, kill!" Pebble screamed aggressively. Pebble sputtered aggressively. As she shot to the floor. Scarecrow struggled with his restraints. Scarecrow wriggled. Scarecrow struggled against his restraints. She stopped a mere inch. The pebble sputtered aggressively as she shot to the floor. Scarecrow struggled against his restraints hopelessly. Pebble stopped a mere inch off the ground. Pebble stopped a mere inch off the ground, wobbling up and down. The fox holding the pixie by the scruff of her neck as he made a tisking sound. In one swift motion, with unnatural speed, the masked figure spun a string into existence with an extended claw. He wrapped it around both the pixie's wrists. The masked figure spun a string into existence with an extended claw. He wrapped it around both the pixie's wrists and tied it to a hook hanging from the ceiling. Pebble swung back and forth, kicking and struggling. Her mouth snapped shut as if controlled by an invisible force. Despite the closed lips, bits of muffled words escaped her throat that even Scarecrow didn't comprehend. Earning, Kit, Mother. Stepping back between them, the fox bowed, tail and ears swaying in sync like a never-ending metronome. Tilting his head up and with a soft whisper. Tilting his head up and with a soft purr. Let's go other alternatives for purr. Tilting his up and with a lilting whisper and with a lilting breath. Tilting his head up and with a lilting whisper. What the fox say? I want this to be pronounced. Stepping back between them, the fox bowed, tail and ears swing in sync like a never-ending metronome. Tilting his head up and with a lilting whisper. What the fox say? His body shook with each pronounced laugh that filled the room. He spun around, tail whipping Scarecrow in the face and forcing a sneeze. The fox approached a table set against the wall, with various objects scattered upon it. Scarecrow looked down at himself, realizing his coat had been removed. Bits of straw poked through the tears in his clothing. His coat hung from a hook beside the table. His hat, he looked at with immediate relief that it was still on his head. Over his shoulder, the fox eyed him, accompanied by a low chuckle that reverberated. The fox inspected each of their possessions on display, paw hovering above each object in turn. Beginning with the frayed beanie, the fox simply made a spitting sound. Frayed beanie, yeah, I guess. As the fox began with the frayed beanie, it made a spitting sound. Moving to the egg, the fox's demeanor shifted. Ooh. A noticeable shiver coursed through the fox's body with excitement as he struggled to maintain his breathing and chuckled. Let's see. A noticeable shiver coursed through the fox's body as his fur stood on end. He chuckled. Hovering over the ruby gemstone, the fox looked down, fixating on its design. The irony, he murmured. The power. Touching the tip of his finger to the mask's mouth as if he were licking it and then tapping the gemstone. He said, the presence. The irony, he murmured. The power. Touching the tip of his finger to the mask's mouth as if he were licking it, then tapping the gemstone, he said. The presence. With a slight crook of his head, he glanced back at Scarecrow. Stealing from a bloodthirsty, soulless, he said, laughingly. Maniacal rabbit, the agony. And with a wag of his finger. Naughty, naughty straw. Let's see if that works. So, hovering over the ruby gemstone, the fox looked down, fixating on its design. The irony, he murmured. The power. Touching the tip of his finger to the mask's mouth as if he were licking it, then tapping the gemstone, he said, he murmured. No, I ought to use. Well, it kind of used it. Let's go. Let's make this. Let's do this differently. Touching the, let's end that. The irony, he murmured. The power. Touching the tip of his finger to the mask's mouth, as if he were licking it, he then tapped the gemstone. The presence. With a slight crook of his head, he glanced back at Scarecrow. Stealing from a bloodthirsty, soulless, he said laughingly. Maniacal rabbit, the agony. And with a wag of his finger, naughty, naughty straw. Scarecrow tried to respond, but felt his mouth close as if held shut by some invisible force. The fox tisked as his hand continued over the quilt. Such magnitude within something so... A moan escaped beneath the mask. Simple. Scarecrow's muffled words intermingled alongside the pixies. With a raised hand to his ear, Fox asked, "Do foxy ears detect a response?" Scarecrow tried speaking to no avail. The fox dropped his head back, looking at them from an upside-down angle. Reality restrains originality. The mask slipped slightly, revealing a grin spread even wider. The mask slipped slightly, revealing a fox-like grin, revealing a foxy grin spread even wider, forming a most devilishly delightful look. What the fox say? I think the fox dropped his head back, looking at them from an upside-down angle. Reality restrains originality. The mask slipped slightly, revealing a foxy grin spread even wider, forming a most devilishly delightful look. Let's go. The mask slipped slightly, revealing a most devilishly delightful grin. Revealing a most devilishly delightful grin. Silence. What the fox say? He snapped his head back to the row of objects with a bemused chuckle. The fox snapped his head back to the row of objects with a bemused chuckle. His paw approached Pebble's doll, which trembled the closer he got. Coward, Pebble spat, her word echoing through the room. She swung through the air, somehow having broken loose of the hook. Wrist still tied, the pixie landed both fists upon the fox's mask. Silence. The mask shattered, revealing an identical mask. She glanced fearfully at the doll, which had since stopped shaking, before returning her defiant gaze to the mask. To the mask, which she still stood upon. The fox flicked her into his open paw, keeping her. The fox flicked Pebble into his open paw, keeping her steadily at eye level. Dr. Fox, he pronounced with a grand turn of his head, mask gleaming in the moonlight. We had a deal, Pebble roared. Ah, he chuckled. Pixie forgets me not, he said, chuckling. Ah, he lulled, chuckling. Pixie forgets me not. She pointed at the gemstone. She pointed at the table. Gemstone, then at Scarecrow. Sacrifice. Scarecrow's eyes widened, filling with unexpected tears. Not that he had known the pixie for very long, but her words felt like a punch to the gut. Scarecrow's eyes widened, filling with unexpected tears. Not that he had known Pebble for very long, but her words felt like a punch to the gut. He tried to speak unsuccessfully, feeling even less control than before. Brother, Pebble said, pointing to herself. Dr. Fox craned his head, nodding. Nodding all the while. Nodding at Scarecrow. Nodding all the while. Straw cries, he shrugged. 300 rotations. Glancing at Scarecrow. 300 years in creator. Actually, let's go. Dr. Fox craned his head, nodding all the while. Straw cries, he shrugged. 300 rotations, glancing at Scarecrow. 300 years in creator speak. Then back to Pebble. Too late. The fox's words stunned her to silence. It hasn't been got a case. Got a case of the nothingness, my dear little pixie. My dear little pixie. Got a case of the nothingness. Let's go. Got a case of the nothingness, dear little pixie. The fox trembled, dropped his head back, and howled. He let go of the pixie. As she fell, he let go of Pebble as she fell into an open jar at his feet. He let go of Pebble as she fell in an open jar at his feet. And a wooden top screwed itself on by invisible strings. Dr. Fox pivoted to Scarecrow, stepped forward and lifted his mask, revealing a horribly grotesque, scarred, and disfigured face that might have once resembled a fox, but now offered only a nightmare. Scarecrow felt the strings vanish as he plopped to his feet. Dr. Fox pivoted to Scarecrow, stepped forward, and lifted his mask, revealing a horribly grotesque, scarred, and disfigured face that might have once resembled a fox, but now that might have once resembled a fox, but now offered only a nightmare. Scarecrow felt the strings vanish as he plopped to his feet, but remained transfixed at the approaching Dr. Fox. With a low, guttural whisper, words plainly spoken, the fox uttered, "If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you will die. If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you, I, we, her, none. You, I, her, we, none. Die." All right. Dr. Fox pivoted to Scarecrow, stepped forward, and lifted his mask, revealing a horribly grotesque, scarred, and disfigured face that might have once resembled a fox, but now offered only a nightmare. Scarecrow felt the strings vanish as he plopped to his feet, but remained transfixed at the approaching Dr. Fox. Dr. Fox. With a low, guttural whisper, words plainly spoken, the fox uttered, "If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you, I, her, we, none, die." Scarecrow stared, frozen in terror, at those golden yellow eyes marred between the scars, poxes, and marks of a nightmare. Dr. Fox stepped back, returning the mask. Dr. Fox stepped back, returning the mask to its place. He snapped as his erratic demeanor resumed post haste. To hunt a rabbit or burn the straw. A shuffling of noise came from the hall as a chair. A shuffling of noise came from the hall as a chair, its legs moving of their own accord, and a book, its covers flapping like wings. And a gray book with its title crossed out, and a gray book, its cover crossed out, and a gray book with its cover scribbled out, and a gray book with a blank gray book with a blank cover. Let's actually go a gray and a gray blank book, its covers flapping like wings. So a shuffling of noise came from the hall as a chair, its legs moving of their own accord, and a gray blank book, its covers flapping like wings, approached Dr. Fox. The hint of a mouth could barely be seen from within the book's pages as it said, "Color eyes escaped the..." Dr. Fox lifted a claw into the air and pointed at Scarecrow. "Stuff and burn?" Aside. "Better that outcome, Straw," with a slight nod outside. "Burn," then at Pebble with a wink. "Turn." Dr. Fox lifted a claw into the air and pointed at Scarecrow. "Stuff and burn," he said aside. He leaned in. "Better that outcome, Straw." All right. Dr. Fox lifted a claw into the air and pointed at Scarecrow. "Stuff and burn," he leaned in. "Better that outcome, Straw." He leaned in with a wink. "Better that outcome, Straw." He nodded outside. With a slight not outside. Burn. With a slight not outside. Burn. With a slight nod outside, he continued. Feathers burn. Then at Pebble. Then at Pebble with a wink. He purred. He trilled. He drawled. Dr. Fox lifted a claw into the air and pointed at Scarecrow. Stuff and burn, he said, leaning in with a wink. Better that outcome, Straw. With a slight nod outside, he continued. Feathers burn. Then, at Pebble with a wink, he drawled. Turn. And Pixie. Turn. Pounding against the jars in terror, Pebble raged. Do no harm, Doctor. Glancing at the captive Pixie, the fox whispered. You would remember. With a flourish of both hands, he bowed. Glancing at the Pixie, the fox faltered. And with a flourish of both hands, he bowed. In a flurry of movement, Dr. Fox hopped onto a ledge, sticking out from near the ceiling, and bowed again. Over his shoulder, he left with parting words. What the fox say? His vibrant, husky, high-to-low laughter trailed after him as he flitted through the opening, leaving an echo of laughter in his wake. Scarecrow stared angrily at Pebble, trying to catch her gaze, even though she wouldn't meet his eyes. He opened his mouth as the book flapped before him and swung back for a strike. Is that Harley Ness? Is that Harley Ness all in black? Oh, man. Oh, that was fun. Wow, what a chapter. What a chapter. Oh my goodness. I love I love Dr. Fox. I had so much fun creating that character. Wow. Yeah, what a chapter. What a crazy chapter. I feel like the Dr. Fox was a lot of fun to write. Hey, what's up, JL? Welcome, my friend. Hopefully the writing vibe is treating you well. Hopefully it's treating you well today, my friend. Wow. So I feel great. I'm actually pretty happy I was able to get through that whole chapter. Oh man, dude. I think this other chapter is sizable as well. Let's see. All right. So I have to pull back. All right. So I think right now my goal is third draft territory. Can I get through? I think I can generally do about one chapter a day. Let's see. So I'm looking at where I'm at. Right now we are in book 2, act 2. We're in Tribe of Animate Cannibals, and I want to get at least to midpoint so I can have the first half of the book ready for feedback. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 chapters, 12 days. Can I consistently go for 12 days? That means 7, let's see, 7, 14. Okay, so I can have the first half of the book ready by middle of January. And the question is, how long does it take me to finish up the back end of the book? How much work does this need? I know it needs a lot of tightening. So I'm just like planning. I'm kind of talking to myself as I'm like thinking through how the end of the book plays out right now, what needs to be fixed. As you can see, I'm very easily able to go through a full chapter in a single sprinting session. The second draft needs a little bit more work. I think right now with second draft, it'd take me about 3 days. I think I'm averaging about 3 days per chapter on the back end. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So if I'm doing about 3 days per chapter on the back end of the book, that is 25, 50, 75 days, which means that is 30, 60, about 2.5 months. January, February, March. That means on my end, I'm done with the book by end of March. April, May. It's not too much time for editing and revision. I know. So okay, yeah. So for those of you guys who've been reading the chapter, what'd you guys think of Dr. Fox? He's a fun character, right? Like Dr. Fox is kind of like a creepy, like for all you guys who were listening along, did you guys like the what'd you guys think of that chapter? I know that's exact. Dr. Fox seems like it could be my favorite character. I absolutely love Dr. Fox. He's Dr. Fox is like a twisted. I kind of like when I thought about this character, I wanted to have a character that is kind of like a larger than life type character that almost feels like they come out of like a Miyazaki movie in a sense. I don't know if I was going anime, but I think I kind of wanted that like strange Miyazaki like type S character. It feels like he knows a lot that he doesn't really say a lot. What did the font say? And you know what? I played around with that so many times, and that's literally. I think I wanted to create an intrigue line. That's kind of like his catch line. He says that a lot. He's like, "What the fox say?" Such a strange character. What did the fox say? And what's funny is I think I explore it later on in the series, but there's actually everything that he says. There's a lot of intent. Dr. Fox as a character doesn't get too much extreme spotlight in the book. I want to say he shows up in a couple chapters. He's another character who's very fun, similar to our antagonist from a few chapters back, the golden sunflower. He is another character who shows the strangeness and oddity of the animal characters in this world. We don't. What's interesting with the fox is that you kind of get a sense of some of his ability, some of his magic, and we're about to see and experience the magic in this next chapter. I know. Yep, I have heard. I have heard that song. What the? Yep. I know. And yeah, I have heard that song. It's been a while, but I have heard it. All right, guys. I'm convinced. I need to push to the next chapter. On days like today where I have more time, I need to be making as much progress as possible. Like I said, my goal is May 15th. And this part of the book, I'm not as worried about this part of the book. Like, I'm going through this draft very quickly. It's the end of the book that's going to take me the most time. All right. Yep. I have to be pushing and making more progress if I want to hit my May 15th goal. Okay. Yep. So let's do it. Going to the next chapter. All right. Where are we at? So next chapter, the tribe of animate cannibals. So this is the second part of this story arc where Scarecrow and his friends are trapped by Dr. Fox and the tribe of animate cannibals. It's actually kind of a creepy chapter. These oh, I love these tribes that I've created. The world spun into view. Scarecrow rolled his head, trying to wake himself up. Oh, actually, I guess I should do as a side note. If you are enjoying the stream, you should follow and subscribe. I'm here every day with the Right Now community. If you're wanting writing motivation, if you're wanting just hanging out with other writers, you want to come join us along the process, and if you're needing like accountability or consistency in a way that is guilt-free, come hang out with us. We have a very cool kind of movement going on here. I stream every day, 730 plus consecutive streams and counting. So tap that follow or subscribe button and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, my friends. And back to it. I always forget the subscribe ad. Okay. So the tribe of animate cannibals. The world spun into view. Scarecrow rolled his head, trying to wake himself up from the fog of his subconscious. He coughed uncontrollably at a haze of smoke wafting around him. A rubber burning smell drifted in the air, while running water splashed off in the distance. He blinked through the blurry vision. Scarecrow attempted to wipe his eyes with his right arm, but it wasn't working. Again, he tried to move it, but realized his arm had been removed, along with his left leg. Between his thin frame and torso, Scarecrow feared that he would fall apart any moment. Scarecrow tried to wipe his eyes with his right arm, but it wasn't working. Again, he tried to move it, but realized his arm had been removed along with his left leg. All right. He glanced down at himself, noting his thin frame and torso. Scarecrow feared that he would fall apart. Let's see. How much farther could he go at the rate he was losing straw? Scarecrow tried to sit up, but bumped his head on metal bars. Grateful that his hat was still planted firmly on his head, he was trapped inside a small wooden enclosure. A makeshift cage. On metal bars. I said short metal bars. He was trapped inside a small enclosure. A makeshift cage. Short metal bars allowed him to watch a roaring bonfire centered between huts made of sticks, rocks, and leaves. Other fires surrounded by shelters trailed along a dirt path in the distance. He coughed again. The smoke in the air was overwhelming at best. I should probably clarify. I should probably remind that we're in the forest. He was trapped inside a small enclosure, makeshift cage. Short metal bars allowed him to watch a roaring bonfire centered between huts made of sticks, rocks, and leaves. Other fires surrounded by shelters trailed along a dirt path in the other fires surrounded by shelters trailed along a dirt path winding through the forest. Winding through the midnight forest. Winding through the moonlit forest. To the moonlit woods. Let's go woods. Other fires surrounded by shelters trailed along a dirt path winding through the moonlit woods. He coughed again. The smoke in the air was overwhelming at best. He coughed again from the smoke. Quick, get a straw infusion. Stat! Scarecrow needs more straw. Objects of all shapes and sizes walked or flew about the village freely. Books with bindings aloft flew in the breeze. Tables, crates, and mattresses marched along, either with their natural legs or sliding along like a built-in engine. Or sliding along like a built-in, either with their natural legs or sliding along. Tables, crates, and mattresses marched along either on their own legs or tables, crates, and mattresses marched along either with their natural legs or dragging themselves sporadically. No, I literally used sporadically the next one. Or dragging themselves forward. Tables, crates, and mattresses marched along either with their on their own legs or dragged themselves forward. Sporadic tools such as shovels and pitchforks hopped along one motion, one step at a time. Even metal or maybe clay figurines walked about, but those are far and in between. Tiny metal and clay figurines walked about, but those were far and in between. The one thing all of these creatures shared in common were rows of pointed teeth. The one thing all these creatures had in common was rows of pointed teeth, mouths that appeared out of nowhere. The one thing all these creatures had in common was rows of pointed teeth. Mouths, teeth. The mouths appeared. The mouths appearing out of nowhere at times. We could go. The mouths appearing. The one thing all of these creatures had in common was rows of pointed teeth, the mouths appearing out of nowhere at times. Standing opposite the bonfire from him was his closest bonfire from him was his ever vigilant guard. The bookcase, its shadowed eyes gleaming in the starry night sky. It stood motionless, watching him, drool dripping down its mouth and pulling at its feet. Scarecrow tried to shuffle to the side of the cage, shadowed eyes following him. He gulped. One of the shovels stood opposite the fire, while tossing logs into the flames with arms that stretched forth from its wooden poles, all while glancing up at him as if it had eyes. Beside them stretched out the longest pillow he had ever seen. Feathers periodically seeped from within its seams. Feathers periodically periodically flying, feathers periodically seeping out from its seams. Halfway covered by the pillow was Scarecrow's arm and leg. At least he knew where they went to. At least he knew where they were. At least he knew where they were now. Recalling Dr. Fox's last words, they were most likely being stuffed. Recalling Dr. Fox's last words, he realized they were most likely being stuffed. How nice of them before being burned. Scarecrow chided himself for trusting the pixie. It was the garden all over again. Granted, she had been the one to save them too. With the bonfire burning hotter by the moment, they had to escape. He didn't see either of his companions, but they must be. He didn't see either of the others, but they must be here somewhere. You didn't see Mr. Crow anywhere. But the bird must be around here somewhere. With good old Lefty, he reached to the bars and felt around the outside of his entrapment. Only dirt and rocks graced his fingertips. Something patted against his fingers, pulling back his arm like... With good old Lefty, he reached to the bars and felt around the outside of his entrapment. Only dirt and rocks graced his fingertips. Something patted against his fingers. Something patted against his fingers, pulling back his arm. The tiny cloth-like creature poked its head out from behind a rock. Hello there, Scarecrow greeted gently so as not to scare the creature away. Its head hid from sight, then slowly crept back into view to peer at him. To watch him. A soft, hoarse voice whispered, "Hi." Wide, red-stitched X eyes studied him. Well, Scarecrow knew they were in trouble if they didn't escape this place. He couldn't help but want to make the little creature comfortable. The look in its eyes echoed fear and loneliness. The look, fear and loneliness. Fear and loneliness looked back at him. Well, Scarecrow knew they were in trouble if they didn't escape. He couldn't help but want to make the little creature comfortable. Fear and loneliness looked back at him. Promise, I won't hurt you. Scarecrow racked his brain for something helpful, whispering, I'm armless anyway. He put on a big smile and made a show of wobbling aside with the missing limb. The little cloth creature matched his smile with a tiny smile of its own, sharp teeth on display. With a tiny head wobble, it paced into view. Jay, I don't know what you're talking about. This is the standalone Scarecrow novel for a very different audience. The little cloth creature matched his smile with a tiny smile of its own, sharp teeth on display. With a tiny head wobble, it paced into view. What's your name, little one? Scarecrow asked with a genuine smile. The little cloth creature kicked at the dirt, hands folded behind its back. It looked up at him with childlike wonder. The boy in the red beanie flashed through his mind. Why did the memory of that creator keep resurfacing? What's a name? The cloth creature asked shyly. It is the word we call each other. You see, my name is... Scarecrow stopped himself, realizing he didn't quite know the answer. He felt his chest with his one arm. He was a scarecrow, so his name was Scarecrow, right? Call me Scarecrow, he grinned. The little cloth creature laughed and pressed against the bars, struggling to pronounce each syllable. It growled. Cloth. Scarecrow stuck one finger through the bar as Cloth patted it with tiny fingers and laughed. Those razor-sharp teeth proved a gentle reminder of the creature's nature. Scarecrow, you idiot, Pebble shouted, her voice muted. He looked around and spotted Pebble rolling her bottle forward like a hamster in a cage. Across the dirt like a hamster in a cage. Scarecrow crossed his arms. At least he tried to with his one good arm in a display of distress. Scarecrow crossed his arms. At least he tried to with his only arm. With his only arm in a display of distress. Here to help toss me in the fire too? He glanced nervously at the roaring bonfire. Being burned alive he glanced nervously at the roaring bonfire. He glanced nervously at the roaring bonfire, unable to mask his fear. Mumbling, "Don't mind Pebble. He turned to Cloth, who was gone. Pebble pushed her prison forward as it clinked against the back of Scarecrow's cage. Looking up at him, she said, "I was lying. Pixies lie. Get over it." Stopping to look at her feet, she whispered. "Sorry if you thought that, but," pointing her finger to the sky. "This pixie is getting the two of us." Scarecrow eyed her. "Three of us," she mumbled, "out of here. Thank me later, you big sack of straw." Let's see, pixies. Pebble pushed her prison forward as it clinked against the back of Scarecrow's cage. Looking up at him, she said, "I was lying. Pixies lie. Get over it." Stopping to look at her feet, she whispered, "Sorry if you thought that, but..." But, pointing her finger to the sky. Let's fix that. Let's do that. Let's fix this. "I was lying. Pixies lie. Get over it." Stopping to look at her feet. "Sorry if you thought that, but," she whispered, pointing her finger to the sky. "This pixie's getting the two of us." Scarecrow eyed her. "The three of us," she mumbled, "out of here. Thank me later, you big sack of straw." Scarecrow pointed at her. "The truth when we get out of here. I want the truth when we get out of here." Pebble opened her mouth to retort, but snapped it shut and nodded. "Why are we here, Pebble? That must be the brazier over there, right?" The pixie shook her head and sighed. "There's no brazier here. Trust, you would know." "So you lied to get us here?" Scarecrow asked, raising his voice. He looked over his shoulder, but the creatures were more intent on the flames. Were more intent on stoking the bonfire, while the passerbys were focused elsewhere. "I don't remember," she screamed, the echo trapped by her jar's confines. The pixie's eyes widened. Pebble's eyes Pebble's eyes widened with a hint of fear before the stalwart bravado returned. There's another one nearby, promise, but escape first before we hear the insides of their stomachs. Why would we hear the insides of their stomachs? Does the word cannibal mean anything to you? Scarecrow paused, looking up at the sky and finally shaking his head with a shrug. Pebble groaned, inhaled like she was trying to avoid an explosion, and continued. Something with the fox's ability and those abominations. Scarecrow crooked his head questioningly. Whatever. Fire. Teeth. Bad. He glanced over at the bookcase, wide shadows cast upon its massive form as its razor-sharp mouth widened by the moment. Whether that was a yawn or hunger was yet to be seen. Those bookless eyes, wide open, still fixed on Scarecrow. Or was the bookcase asleep? Did bookcase asleep? An image of him being pulled apart straw by straw, roasted and eaten, came to mind. He shuddered. Now stop your yapping and pull this lid off so I can save you, the pixie commanded. He shoved a hand, Scarecrow shoved a hand through the bars frantically and pulled at the pixie's jar until it popped off easily. Too easily. The pixie rolled out and stretched, sharing a concerned look. As if reading his mind, she ducked behind the cage, assessing their situation. After the fox vanished, those creatures left me inside, unguarded, making this escape almost too easy. She pounded a fist against her head. Dumb fox and his dumb games. If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you will die. Dr. Fox's cryptic words and tortured face haunted him. Scarecrow shook his head, trying to get it out of mind. All right. I think I changed this quote. I have to go find it from the previous chapter. If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you, I, her, we, none die. That's too much. You, I. If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you die. That's I might adjust the wording of that, but I think that's fine. If Scarecrow finds memories forgot, you die. Dr. Fox's cryptic words and tortured face haunted him. Scarecrow shook his head, trying to get it out of mind. Don't do anything, Pebble commanded. Actually, act like yourself, Scarecrow. She paused, glancing at his missing limbs. We are missing a few things. I'll be back. Looking around, she rolled behind the closest rock. If they weren't about to be burned and eaten alive, looking around, she rolled behind the closest rock before glancing back at him. Oh, and stop making friends with the locals. They want to eat ya. That's all. Got it? Get it? Good. I made friends with you, didn't I? The pixie snorted as she crept away. Hey, Pebble? With a glance over her shoulder before looking back at them. Let's fix that. Looking around, she rolled back. Okay, so don't do anything, Pebble commanded. Actually, just act like yourself, Scarecrow. Just be yourself. Don't do anything, Pebble commanded. Actually, just be yourself. Actually, just be yourself. She paused, glancing at his missing limbs. We are missing a few things. I'll be back. Looking around, she rolled behind the closest rock before looking back at him. We are missing a few things. I'll return. Looking around, she rolled behind the closest rock before looking back at him. And stop making friends with the locals. They want to eat you. I don't think we need that. And stop making friends with the locals. They want to eat you. I made friends with you, didn't I? The pixie snorted as she crept away. Hey, Pebble? With a glance over her shoulder, she nodded. Why don't you fly? Why don't you just fly away? Why don't you just fly away? Pebble felt one of her wings, running a finger delicately along the curvature of its inherent design. Running a finger delicately along the curvature. Along the design's curvature. Pebble felt one of her wings, running a finger delicately along its curvature, and snorted. If that fox touched my cloak, we'll see who's serving who to the burn, she muttered, diving behind another series of rocks and disappearing around a corner. Diving behind another series of rocks and vanishing from sight. She muttered, diving behind another series of rocks and vanishing from sight. Scarecrow kicked at the side of his cage. One leg or not, he was going to escape. They all were. He was uncertain whether the thought of being burned or eaten alive scared him more. His one-legged kicks did very little due to the cramped nature of this prison. His one-legged kicks did little due to the cramped prison. He looked around the village of creatures for a means of escape. Just then, two chairs, one wood, and the other marble, walked down the center path. Stretched out between them, or let's go hopped down the center path. Stretched out between them was a long pole, and tied upside down was none other than Mr. Crow, still unconscious. And tied upside down was none other than an unconscious Mr. Crow. Watching the procession gave Scarecrow a bad feeling. He eyed the pillow, which continued stuffing his limbs with something. He eyed the pillow, which continued stuffing his limbs with something. Oh, what if they were being digested? He shivered. Looking around the village, he raised a hand to his mouth and whispered, "Cloth, are you there?" Poking its head from out behind the rock, and in a soft-spoken voice, Cloth answered, "Ska-quo?" Scarecrow looked around and bent down to whisper, "Any chance of helping an old scarecrow out?" Cloth kicked the dirt and shoved a thumb inside its mouth as it responded. Cloth kicked the dirt and shoved a thumb inside its mouth as it responded. Master Fox said Stwa would ask that. But I won't taste any good. Scarecrow stopped. He did? Cloth nodded. Master Fox said, "You mean Dr. Fox, right?" The tiny doll-like figure kicked at the dirt on the ground. Master nicer before Doctor. Doctor plays Doctor games. But Master Fox said I can let you out. For one thing. All right, the tiny doll-like figure kicked at the. Let's just go. Cloth kicked at the dirt on the ground. Master nicer before doctor. Doctor plays doctor games. But Master Fox, I can let you out. For one thing. Scarecrow nodded, eager not to meet a fiery demise. Stwa must watch. Watch what? Scarecrow scratched his head, but Cloth shrugged. Of course, yes, anything is better than... He gulped, leaning toward Cloth and whispered. Of course, yes, anything is better than... He gulped, leaning toward Cloth and whispering. Want to come with me and my companions instead? Scarecrow lit up at the idea of having a kinder companion join them. Not that the crow or pixie weren't kind, but still. He added, you don't seem happy here. You don't seem happy. Happy? Cloth turned and glanced at the bonfire, growing wider by the moment. Returning his gaze to Scarecrow, he asked, like friends? Scarecrow chuckled at the innocence masked behind such a strange little creature. How silly of him to have forgotten that word. Friends. Had the boy in the red beanie been his friend? He shuddered, nodded, and brought his fist in the air. Glancing sideways, he didn't know where that had come from, but it felt natural. Friends. He shuddered, nodded, and raised his fist into the air like a salute. Glancing sideways, he didn't know where that had come from, but it felt natural. Friends. Cloth gurgled and raised a tiny fist in the air. Friends. In the distance, Mr. Crow's procession neared the fire. Cloth shrugged his raggedy shoulders, walked to the side of the cage, and dragged the bars outward, opening easily. Scarecrow tumbled out of the cage and face first onto the dirt. Pebble shouted from behind a nearby rock. The cage was unlocked this entire time? Are you kidding me? With the luminescent cloak draped firmly about her, Pebble trudged around a corner, standing out in stark contrast to the dark forest landscape. Behind her, she dragged a dark woolen sack in the dirt. While the opening of it was tied closed with a piece of string, a mouth snapped open from atop it, eager to chew anything that touched it. Scarecrow raised an eyebrow at the pixie. Want your things or not? She kicked the bag toward him. Scarecrow scooted back as the carnivorous bag rolled over and chomped at him. He peeked inside the opening, relieved to spot his coat, quilt, and the other belongings. He peeked inside the opening, relieved to spot his coat, quilt, and the other belongings. He glanced at the top of the bag as the mouse snapped at him. He peeked inside the opening on top, revealed to spot his coat, quilt, and the other belongings. He glanced at the top of the bag as the mouth on its side, the bag's side, snapped at him. So burn me, Pebble muttered as she hopped on his outstretched hand, crawling up his arm. You have too many things. You have too many things. So burn me. So let's go. So spark me. Yeah, let's do a different one. Turning to Cloth, Scarecrow nodded his head. Thank you, my tiny little friend. He held out his hand for Cloth to hop onto. But the living Cloth doll latched onto his leg, climbed up to his chest, and hung on, looking up at them with a toothy, carnivorous smile. Before Pebble could protest, Scarecrow awkwardly slung the bag over his opposite shoulder to act as a counterbalance for his missing leg. He eyed it warily as the mouth-facing side remained closed, thankfully. A squawk alerted them to Mr. Crow's plight as the chairs hoisted his pole above the bonfire, the crow dangling helplessly above the flames. Better act now unless you want bird brain. Ignoring the pixie, Scarecrow gritted his teeth and made a run, or more like a hop towards the bonfire. Even with one leg, he picked up speed. He hopped past the bookcase as it roared to life, mouth widening. Mr. Crow caught heedlessly as the flames licked his tail feathers. Why did it have to be? Why did it have to be? Why did it always have to be fire? Scarecrow didn't have time to think, so he let forth the loudest howl he could muster. Caught off guard, the chairs paused. He closed his eyes, propelled himself over the bonfire. He closed his eyes, propelled himself over the bonfire. He closed his eyes, leaping, and he closed his eyes, leaped, and propelled himself over the bonfire, knocking Mr. Crow to the ground. He closed his eyes, leaped, and propelled himself over the bonfire, knocking Mr. Crow to the ground. They crashed in the dirt in a collective heap. Scarecrow tried to scoot back as he bumped against a wall, while Mr. Crow rolled around on the ground, trying to free himself from the pull. While Mr. Crow rolled around on the ground, waking up and trying to free himself from the pull. Pebble and Cloth clung on barely. Pebble and Cloth clung on to Scarecrow barely. All eyes were on them. Books flapped hurriedly, furniture shuffled closely, tools pattered restlessly, while toys of strange design similar to Cloth waited patiently. All objects, eyes or no eyes, pointed at them, their demeanor betraying unease and hunger. Cloth looked up at Scarecrow, eyes wide with a shake of his head. They know eat, they know live. I'm sure you're right there with them. I'm sure you're right there with them, Carnivore. I'm sure you're right there with them. Pebble muttered. Cloth different. The tiny doll smiled the saddest, most heartbreaking smile one could imagine. Scarecrow eyed the flames of the roaring bonfire warily. The tiny doll smiled a sad, heartbreaking smile. A sad, heart-wrenching smile. Let's go with that. Cloth different. The tiny doll smiled a sad, heart-wrenching smile. Scarecrow eyed the flames of the roaring bonfire warily, as if they had a life of their own. Those flames. He tried to regain control of his fear, but only managed to stutter as the living sack bounced up and down behind him. Standing defiantly upon his shoulder, Pebble shouted. Pebble screamed. Who dares restrain the all-powerful Scarecrow? Whispering aside into his ear, act tough, Strawbrain. Scarecrow rose onto his one leg, trying to appear as menacing as a one-legged, one-armed Scarecrow could be. The closest creature, a frog figurine, backed away in fright, or hopped away in fright. Hopped back fearfully. Stop us from leaving, and you will be cursed. Pebble announced. Pebble cried. Scarecrow glanced sideways at the pixie as she shrugged. He scanned the creatures and spotted the pillow still devouring his limbs near the bonfire. From this vantage point, Scarecrow could see a sack of straw splayed out on the ground beneath it. He tried to shuffle nonchalantly towards the pillow as Pebble threatened nonsensical things. And fear will reign, she continued, flashing her tiny arms around in a display of, well, something. The creatures remained silent, as if waiting. Scarecrow stumbled as he nearly tripped over a pile of fossils, bones, and specks of red lay splayed. He recognized the animal bones. Succumbed to these creatures' appetites. Stopping to place an arm on his hip, he lectured, "Shame on all of you for trapping poor, helpless. Shame on all of you for trapping poor, helpless." The bonfire boomed, flames snapping to twice their size. Vibrant shades of orange cast daunting looks upon the creatures, cast daunting shadows upon the creatures as their mouths opened and drooled. A blue book flapped before them as it whispered, "Burn." "Burn," the bookcase copied. "Burn," the chairs whispered. The chant spread among the village of animate cannibals. "Burn you too," Pebble retorted as she rubbed her cloak wearily. The creatures towered above them, mouths open wide as the chant grew with strength, as the chant grew with intensity, as the chant intensified. Scarecrow hopped back, closed his eyes in a moment of panic, and prepared for the inevitable. "Fwen!" Cloth screamed, cutting through the trance as cutting through the chant. As the raggedy doll-like creature flung himself through the air, sank his teeth into the book's binding, and went crashing and crashed to the ground. With an indiscernible fury, Cloth shredded the book to pieces. With an indiscernible fury, Cloth shredded the book to pieces. Teeth first. "Just my type of doll," Pebble laughed as she raised her fists. All chaos broke loose as the fire roared to twice its size. The chanting continued as the objects lunged at them. "Time to go, time to go, time," Mr. Crow cawed as he finally shook loose of the pole and flew away from the mouth of a chair. "Easy for you, I'm down a few limbs. The bookcase flung itself through the air in a barrage of fury at them. Scarecrow lost his balance, falling back as a pair of talons dug into his shoulders and lifted him over the passing bookcase, which crashed into the wall. All right, I have to make sure this action makes sense. Eyes eat no more, Mr. Crow cawed as he finally shook loose of the pole and flew away from the mouth of a chair. "Easy for you, I'm down a few limbs," Scarecrow cried. Scarecrow cried. As he turned towards let's see. As he turned towards the bookcase, which flung itself through the air in a barrage of fury at him. Scarecrow lost his balance and fell back. As a pair of talons dug into his shoulders and lifted him over the soaring bookcase. Scarecrow lost his balance. All right, this needs to be one paragraph. Okay. "Easy for you, I'm down a few limbs," Scarecrow cried as he turned towards the bookcase, which flung itself through the air in a barrage of fury. Scarecrow lost his balance and fell back as a pair of talons dug into his shoulders. We don't need that. Which flung itself through the air in a barrage of fury at him. A pair of talons dug into his shoulders and lifted him over the passing bookcase, which crashed into the wall. Mr. Crow flapped furiously with all the might he could muster. Mr. Crow flapped furiously, Mr. Crow flapped furiously, lifting Scarecrow into the air. They bobbed, lifting Scarecrow up high. Mr. Crow flapped furiously, lifting Scarecrow high. They bobbed up and down in the air. The crow swung him about as he unintentionally kicked 2 incoming shovels, which rebounded into the bonfire, sizzling the ash in seconds. The bonfire roared. Burn, 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 echoed all around them. Mr. Crow bobbed to the ground as Scarecrow felt his foot touch the dirt. Look out, he cried. A box and metal figurine lunged at them. But out of nowhere, the living sack swung around in a wide arc, gobbling them up with a burp, as Pebble held onto the string, laughing madly while swinging the sack around like a torso from Scarecrow's shoulder. Like a torso from upon Scarecrow's shoulder. Mr. Crow squawked, trying to lift him off the ground again. The desperate looks of hunger in the creature's eyes screamed with envy, as the closest ones, a table and a pillow, darted at them. Swing right, swing, Scarecrow yelled. Mr. Crow swung him aside as they narrowly dodged the 2 creatures who flew past. They rose higher, clearing another wave of incoming cannibals. Scarecrow pointed at his missing arm and leg hanging from the pillow, who seemed oblivious to all of the chaos. Straw brain heavy, Mr. Crow called loudly, at his wings flapping furiously. Mr. Crow called loudly, his wings flapping furiously, flapping endlessly. His wings flapping tirelessly. A lone shovel skyrocketed at them. Pebble twirled the sack, but missed as it pelted Scarecrow directly in the chest and knocked the air out of him. Mr. Crow veered off course as they flew towards the enraged bonfire. The bonfire greeted them with a sizzling roar of fury as if it were alive. The bonfire greeted them with a sizzling roar of fury as if it were alive. Scarecrow and Pebble screamed as Mr. Crow swung them around the flames in a wide arc. Swung them around the fire in a wide arc, narrowly dodging the flames. He swung them back and forth, dodging a pole here, a figurine there, and even a lone axe. In one final swing, Scarecrow swiped the pillow from the ground. However, the motion caused the entire pillow to collapse, sending his leg, arm, and a bundle of straw down to the flame below. We're even, Pebble screeched as she swan dived. She could say something better. No, I think that's fine. Scarecrow and Pebble screamed as Mr. Crow swung them around the fire in a wide arc, narrowly dodging the flames. He swung them back and forth, dodging a pole here, a figurine there, and even a lone axe. In one final swing, Scarecrow swiped the pillow from the ground. However, let's see. Mr. Crow swung them. This actually makes sense. Scarecrow and Pebble screamed as Mr. Crow swung them around the fire in a wide arc, narrowly dodging the flames. He swung them back and forth, dodging a pole here, a figurine there, and even a lone axe. In one final swing, Scarecrow swiped the pillow from the ground. However, the motion caused the entire pillow to collapse, sending his leg, arm, and a bundle of straw down to the flame below. We're even, Pebble screeched as she swan dived off Scarecrow's shoulder, bag in tow. Unfurling the opening of the bag, she swiped both of Scarecrow's limbs into the bag and slammed the living creature into the flames, which gobbled up the fire, leaving a puff of smoke in its wake. All right, unfurling, let's make sure this action works. We're even, Pebble screeched as she swan dived off Scarecrow's shoulder, bag in tow. You're welcome, Pebble screeched as she swan dived off Scarecrow's shoulder, bag in tow. Unfurling the opening of the bag, she swiped both of Scarecrow's limbs inside and slammed the living sack's mouth and slammed the living sack's carnivorous mouth onto the flames, which gobbled up the fire, leaving a puff of smoke in its wake. Fires in the distance screeched as flames hissed amongst the air of the village. Fires in the distance boomed and screeched as flames hissed again amongst the air of the village. Burn, burn, burn. The chanting had grown to an overwhelming dissonance. Pebble, watch out! The bookcase towered over the pixie as Pebble looked up, caught by surprise. Jewel in terror confronted her as the bookcase stopped abruptly. Cloth tore through the back of the bookcase, teeth first, landing beside the pixie. The doll looked at the pixie, grabbed her by the shoulders, and hugged her. She looked stunned as it whispered into her ear, causing her to look up at Scarecrow, frightened. Snarls, screams, and roars echoed in the distance. Cloth picked up Pebble unexpectedly and tossed her into the air as she clung onto the living bag for dear life. Scarecrow reached out and grabbed her as the bag dragged across the dirt beneath them. Animate cannibals dove every which way at them. Animate cannibals dove every which way at them. Teeth and animate cannibals dove every which way at them. Teeth and snarls. Burn roared with maddening fury throughout the village. Mr. Crow flapped wildly about as they zigzagged back and forth. Something whooshed wildly about in the darkness before them, but the sounds were lost to the noise of the chaos all around them. Grab Cloth, Scarecrow screamed, as he could only manage to hang on to Pebble, sack dragging. Mr. Crow heaved, starting to lose control. Scarecrow watched as the cannibalistic creatures stopped moving in unison and raised a single creature in the air above them. Cloth, he screamed as the bonfire roared back to life with twice the fury. The creatures tossed the raggedy doll-like creature. The creatures tossed Cloth up and down. Turn back, Scarecrow yelled. Mr. Crow! They dragged about wildly, losing control entirely. Scarecrow watched in horror as if time slowed down for him. Cloth flew up into the air, looked at him, and raised a fist. He mouthed something. A forlorn smile plastered across his face. A forlorn smile smeared across his face. Scarecrow whispered, "Friend." He strained to watch through water or smoke-filled eyes. Straw must watch. Dr. Fox's words echoed like a nightmare through his head as Cloth was chucked into the flames. Cloth! His scream pierced the night sky before realizing the whooshing sound. Cloth! His scream pierced the night sky, only to realize the whooshing sound beneath them. Beneath them was the flow of water. Mr. Crow let go. Mr. Crow let go. Mr. Crow let go as they splashed into an icy cold current. Scarecrow bobbed up and down. Scarecrow bobbed up, seeing Cloth's raised fist burning from the flames. He reached out, his cries gurgling as water enveloped him. Everything was dark, wet, and cold as he lost all sense of direction, swept farther away from the village of animate cannibals and deeper into the forest of the night. Whew, man. Man, what a chapter. Oh my goodness, what a chapter. Oh my goodness. Man, what a chapter. I was like, the fact that I went through 2 full chapters, I'm actually pretty happy. I mean, it took me about an hour. Um, yeah. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad I was actually able to get through that 2-part arc actually. I got through both chapters. I got through 16 and 17. Um, which is a 2-part story arc. I'm actually pretty happy. I'm like hoping the actions, especially of that the action scene at the end, is like clear enough, and we'll see once I start getting like feedback from others. Hey, what's up, Janine? I saw you hop in. But hope everyone is treating. Hope everything is treating all y'all well. Hopefully, you guys have been able to get in some progress, and thanks everyone for hanging out. Hope you were able to make some writing push with your own stuff all the while, or at least got a little bit of motivation. I'm feeling very successful. 2 more chapters down as I'm pushing ahead through the 3rd draft of The Last Scarecrow. Awesome. So that's all that I got for now. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a special stream. So tomorrow I'm making a stream specifically for author tubers. There's a conversation I wanted to have with author tubers. So it's not going to be focused as much on the writing community. You'll see for anyone who joins us tomorrow. So that will be tomorrow's journey. But I'll be back on Monday as well with the normal update stream, and we'll be talking with what's coming up in the community. And the next week, we're back to our normal weekly streaming schedule. I'll return with the story and critique stream next Saturday, January 10th. I know we're looking forward to that. And most importantly, if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. Words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write
Right
now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now. Is that right?
Words are wind, but stories